Hi, and welcome everybody to another edition of the Winner's Circle Sports Betting Podcast. I'm Ross Benjamin, along with my co host, Chip Chirimbes, professional sports handicapper out of Las Vegas, and a good friend of mine, Mr. Chip. How are you today, my friend?
Well, I'm great, Ross. As long as these games keep showing up the way they are, and we can roll them along. Big winner in the NBA last night with the Clippers. I put it out as a best bet, and really, they had their way with the Lakers. And who knows if they're looking to even play until the playoffs.
Anyway, we are going to be covering this is our NBA free pick segment, folks, but we're going to discuss a little bit of NBA before we get into the free picks. We'll each have one. Chip, I'm sure you watched that Clippers Lakers game or at least read into it.
Portions
Um,
of it.
yeah,
Yeah.
but my point is that my question I should say is do you think the shortened off season for the Lakers, who went all the way to the finals, had anything to do with it, or was the Clippers just out and out a better team
I think it
last
had a
night?
lot to do with Ross. It's only been 7 weeks. Guys like LeBron and the veterans that have been through this before. We always have these problems with the champions in all sports. But in basketball, it seems like, particularly this season, I think with the Lakers, that they're just willing to just get through the season, not sleepwalk, but, just make sure that they finish in the playoffs. And there'll be some big games for them this year. But they come back so fast. It's such a grueling season.
Yeah.
Though they had that big layoff in the middle, I'm wondering if psychologically it might affect their approach. And I think if it's going to affect anyone the most, it would the Lakers.
Yeah, and don't forget these teams were locked into a bubble for
Yeah.
an extended period of time, which is unprecedented. So the mental toll that takes on an individual too. I know they get paid a lot of money, but again, anytime you lock somebody into a square footage that you can't go out of, it's imprisoning. You know what I mean? So yeah, I'm sure it takes a mental toll on them as well as a physical toll. And Orlando, or I'm sorry, Miami is in that same situation tonight against the Orlando Magic.
Yep.
I'm looking at Orlando right now, a 4.5 point home underdog against Miami. And that looks like an inviting spot to take the Magic, being that Miami, again, they played the same amount of games the Lakers did. I mean, they reached the finals and they were in the same situation. What's your thoughts there, Chipper, if any?
Well, my thoughts are maybe it's a little bit different scenario from Miami because they still may be a little bit hungrier.
Yeah.
They didn't win, and also I like Miami's coaching, and I think that he may have them ready, to play because this team always seems to come up big when people don't expect anything from them, and I think it'd affect the Lakers more because of the veterans. They're the
Yeah.
teams they've been. Well, they didn't make the playoffs the year before, but um, they know how to handle the season, and they know that nothing really matters until you get to the playoffs. And I think Miami's a little bit more aggressive in that regard, as far as like I want to win today.
Yep.
I think Miami has more of that feeling, but this 4.5 to me looks very shallow. And I was thinking the exact same thing you had mentioned. I have a lean toward Orlando here with this number, and they didn't play as badly as it might have seemed last season. I mean, uh, Orlando did have some moments, and maybe they can come up big tonight. I don't know. Maybe Miami's looking to start from the beginning, so it's a tough call, without question.
Yeah, I mean, and of course, Miami, like you said, they're a young ball club, much more so in comparison to the Lakers, like
Yeah.
you touched upon, and also they're facing Orlando, where the Lakers face the Clippers, and nothing against Orlando, but they're not in the same league as the Clippers at this point. I don't believe. And we'll see how the season transpires, but on paper, anyway, the Clippers are the much superior team. One team I would venture to say we should keep an eye out for is the Phoenix Suns, who added Chris Paul. And Chip, I think people forget this team entered the bubble last year. They were good enough to get into the bubble, and they went 10-1 straight up in ATS in their last 11, and 8-0 straight up in ATS in their last 8. Barely missed the playoffs, but a lot of momentum that was established there. going into this season. And then you add a veteran like Chris Paul into the mix, and they're a 1-point favorite against the Dallas Mavericks last year, who was in the Western Conference Finals.
Yeah, well, they this Phoenix team is pretty exciting for me. You mentioned they went 8-0 again in the bubble, 8-0 against the number, and really it buoyed them, I believe. Their number one draft pick, I think the kid from Arizona, finally started what Antoine or what? How would you know?
Yeah, I don't know his name off the
Deon,
top of
I
my
know
head.
his name's DeAndre. Anyway, it's because I have a friend named DeAndre. But that team has really come on the end of the year last year. I was really excited with the kind of ball they were playing. Like you said, adding Chris Paul. I think they were a definite over tonight. They're the highest total listed on the NBA board. And that always, you always look at that. I do. I always look at that game as maybe that's the one that's going to go over the total because the number's so high. And I just like this Phoenix team. I'm expecting better things from them this year. Tough route for them to make the playoffs in the West, much like the NFL. But I think it's going to be a promising season for them.
Yeah, a couple side notes. Kristaps Porzingis, the star forward slash center for the Dallas Mavericks, he's going to be out indefinitely to start the year after hurting his knee in the bubble last year during the playoffs. And then Luka Doncic, the star point guard, he's a terrific player. He came right out and said, "I'm not in the best shape that I need to be right now." Again,
Yeah.
they reached the Western Conference Final, as I recall, and again, a short off season for them. And don't forget, Doncic is a kid who played in Europe for many years before he came over here, and they didn't play. They don't play the grueling schedule you do in the States here in the NBA. So we'll see. But some interesting matchups in a full slate of games. Glad the NBA is back, right, Chip?
Oh yeah, it's great except for the workload. I mean, but otherwise, it's good to see, and we have an opportunity to cash in, shall I say?
Well, let's get to our free picks for tonight, Chipper. Why don't you start us off here?
All right, I'm going to stick with out west with this Phoenix game. We were talking about this team, the addition of Chris Paul. They, for some reason or another, Ross, they have dominated this series against Dallas. I mean, point spread wise, I think they're 16-5 in the last 21, thereabouts. Sometimes these numbers get skewed because one guy will have one number on a game and record as a push or a win or a tie, but they have had the best of the series. As a matter of fact, they beat them the last two times they played them in the bubble. And the last game they played them in the bubble, they were an 8.5-point favorite because Dallas was sitting everybody and they crushed them. I think they won by 40. And I think they have a lot of confidence playing against this Mavericks team, which isn't exactly known for playing great defense. And so I think this game goes over for 2. I think it goes over the total. And I would venture to say that I like the Suns as well.
Very good. So Chipper is on the Phoenix Suns, minus the 1 against Dallas. Not sure what the total is on that game. Let me double check.
Can they make it high enough?
For you, buddy, they could do whatever you want. Let's see.
Okay, let's make it 4.
Dallas Phoenix over 234 and Phoenix minus 1. Chipper's giving you 2 free selections in the NBA tonight. And that's the late game on the board, folks. That goes at 10:30 Eastern, 7:30 Pacific. Chipper, my free play is one of those scratch your head, it doesn't make sense line plays. The Atlanta Hawks traveled to Chicago to take on the Bulls tonight in the season opener for both teams. And Atlanta is a 2-point road favorite. Now, keep this in mind. This is definitely a contrarian play on my part, and I'll tell you why. Chicago faced Atlanta 3 times last year, Chip. They won all 3. They covered all 3, and they won by an average of 29.7 points per game. Wow. I had to look at that twice. Atlanta last year on the road, 6-27 straight up and 10-23 against the number. So they were a terrible road team. This line just makes absolutely no sense. I trust the bookmakers know what they're doing here. So I'm going with the contrarian approach and going against all those trends that I just mentioned. And I'm going to take the Atlanta Hawks here, lay the 2 on the road at Chicago. That's Atlanta minus 2 over Chicago. That's Phoenix minus 1 over Dallas, and Phoenix and Dallas to go over 234. Those are our three picks, three free picks in the NBA for Wednesday, the 23rd. Chipper, any final thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, you're calling out this Atlanta game against Chicago. Has Chicago regressed that much, or has Atlanta actually improved their product, their brand? The number did look odd to me, and being the fact they were two bottom rung teams, I virtually just eliminated with the short preseason and not quite knowing where they are. But you're right about that. That's a very intriguing number, considering all the stats and you just gave us on the history of these two teams. I think you might have something here, Ross.
All right. So, Chip, you could find Chip's plays, I should say, at chipwins.com. He's been red hot, 2-1 in college basketball last night on a terrific college basketball run over the last week and a half or so. Chip, you're going to have some college basketball up today and also some NBA as well.
Yes, that I right up right into my alley, Ross. The NBA, of course, will have a trio of selections, a three pick, as well as in the college basketball. One is an early start today. It starts at 3 Eastern, UCLA, Oregon. But for the most part, I'm pretty locked into what we're doing today, and there's going to be three college basketball games out there for everyone.
Okay, that's chipwins.com. That's where you'll find Chipper's picks. And like I said, he's been sizzling hot in all sports over the last couple of weeks. I have a 3-game package in college basketball. The first game tips at 3 p.m. Eastern time. I also have a play in that UCLA game as well. That's UCLA at Oregon, plus 2 totals to go later in the card. And also, I will have a 3-game NBA package up very shortly, 3 winning sides in the NBA to start the year. And you could find those at rbwins.com. We'll be back tomorrow early again on Christmas Eve for another edition of the Winner Circle Betting Podcast. For Ross Benjamin and Chip Chirimbes. Once again, folks, we like to both wish you a very Merry Christmas. Stay safe. Good luck and God bless.